The observation deck of Zenith Prime Station held representatives from 47 different species. All of them watched the holographic display with various expressions of concern, fear, and disgust. The planet rotating slowly in the projection looked beautiful from orbit, with swirling green and purple clouds wrapping around a dark surface. But every being in the room knew the truth. This world was death itself. Stood at the center podium, his four crystalline arms gesturing at the data streams flowing beside the planet image. The scientist had spent 6 months analyzing every scan, every probe report, every piece of information about the newly discovered world. His conclusion was absolute and terrifying. "Council members, I present Keres 9, said, his voice translator rendering his clicks and whistles into flat galactic standard. "After extensive analysis, I have classified this planet as Class 14, the highest danger rating in our system." A wave of shocked murmurs spread through the chamber. Class 14 worlds were rare. Most dangerous planets topped out at Class 10 or 11. A Class 14 meant the planet was actively hostile to life in almost every way possible. "The gravity measures 2.4 times galactic standard," continued. "The atmosphere contains sulfur compounds, methane, and trace amounts of chlorine gas. Surface temperatures range from -40 to +70 degrees. The planet experiences constant seismic activity with an average of 200 tremors per day." He pulled up new images showing massive creatures moving across a dark landscape. "The native life has evolved into apex predators of unprecedented size and aggression. These organisms can grow up to 8 meters in length and mass over 4,000 kilograms. They hunt in packs and show remarkable intelligence." Ambassador, a diplomat with blue tentacles wrapped around her floating chair, raised one appendage. "Surely there must be some redeeming quality to warrant this presentation." His crystalline face somehow managed to look grim. "The planet contains the largest deposit of crystals ever discovered, enough to power every ship in the galaxy for 1,000 years. Additionally, there are rare earth metals essential for our most advanced technology. The mineral wealth is beyond calculation." The room erupted in excited chatter. Was the foundation of faster-than-light travel? Whoever controlled those deposits would hold enormous power in galactic politics and trade. "We have already lost 3 survey ships attempting close-range scans," added, silencing the room again. "The combination of atmospheric turbulence, electrical storms, and gravitational stress tore them apart before they could land. I recommend we classify Keres 9 as restricted and place it under observation protocols. Perhaps in a few centuries, we will develop technology capable of extracting these resources safely." Captain Daniel Wright sat in the human observation section, leaning forward in his chair. The human delegation was small, just 5 people. Earth had joined the Galactic Council only 2 years ago, and most species still viewed humans as naive newcomers. Daniel studied the rotating planet on the display, his mind working through the challenges had outlined. Beside him, Lieutenant Amy Foster whispered, "That looks like home." Daniel glanced at her. Amy was right. The atmospheric composition was similar to early Earth. The gravity was higher than Earth's standard, but not impossibly so. The temperature ranges were actually narrower than what Earth experienced, and the predators, while large, were not unlike the megafauna that once roamed Earth's continents. Commander leaned in from Daniel's other side. "We should request survey rights." "Are you insane?" someone hissed from behind them. It was one of the human observers, a civilian scientist who had joined them for this session. "You heard what he said. 3 ships destroyed, Class 14 rating. This is a suicide mission." Daniel stood up. The movement drew attention from nearby species, who turned to look at the human section with curiosity. He pressed the request button on his chair's armrest, and a light appeared over the human delegation. Paused his presentation. "The human representative wishes to speak." "Captain Daniel Wright of Earth," Daniel said clearly. "I request permission to conduct a human survey mission to Keres 9. The chamber fell completely silent. Then, slowly, laughter began to ripple through the various species. It started as quiet chuckles but grew into open amusement. The large warrior merchants from the eastern spiral laughed the loudest. Ambassador was not laughing. She studied Daniel with her large, dark eyes. "Captain Wright, you understand the classification of this world? Class 14 means it is considered uninhabitable by galactic standards." "I understand, Ambassador," Daniel replied. but I believe humans have unique experience that may allow us to operate in this environment. A council member not spoke up with clear condescension. Human, your species has been in space for less than a century. You have established 3 colony worlds, all of them class 3 or below. What possible experience could you have with of this magnitude? Daniel smiled, though he knew the expression would not translate well to most species. Honored counselor, humans evolved on a class 12 world. The laughter died instantly. Several species pulled up there, accessing Earth's classification. Whispers spread through the chamber as they confirmed Daniel's claim. Earth was indeed rated Class 12, one of the most dangerous of any spacefaring species in the known galaxy. Its crystalline features showed something that might have been respect. Captain Wright, Earth is classified as such due to its extreme weather patterns, tectonic instability, and history of mass extinctions. But Keres 9 exceeds even Earth's dangers. Perhaps, Daniel agreed. But humans have survived ice ages, asteroid impacts, volcanic eruptions that blocked out the sun for years, and predators that hunted us for millions of years. We built civilizations in deserts where temperatures reach 70 degrees, in Arctic regions where it drops to -60, and on islands surrounded by violent seas. We are adapted to gravity only slightly lower than Keres 9. And our evolutionary history involved constant threat from megafauna predators. Amy Foster stood beside Daniel. I am a xenobiology specialist. I have reviewed the data on Keres 9's ecosystem. While dangerous, it follows logical evolutionary patterns similar to Earth's Mesozoic era. We have studied such environments extensively. Rose as well. I am a military advisor with experience in Earth's most hostile environments. Desert warfare, Arctic operations, jungle survival. If the Council permits, I believe we can not only survey this world but establish a permanent presence. Ambassador looked around the chamber, gauging the reactions of other species. Most looked skeptical, but a few seemed intrigued. The ambassador made a decision. The Council will vote, she announced. All in favor of granting the human delegation survey rights to Keres 9. About half the chamber activated their approval lights. Many species voted yes simply because they wanted to see what would happen. Some, like the voted yes because they expected humans to fail quickly, eliminating a potential competitor for future resource extraction. The motion passes, declared. Captain Wright, you have permission to conduct your survey mission. However, I must insist on observation protocols. Multiple species will monitor your progress, and should your mission fail, no rescue attempts will be authorized. Understood, Ambassador, Daniel said. We accept those terms. As the council session ended and beings filed out of the chamber, approached the human delegation. His crystalline form reflected the station lights as he studied them. Captain Wright, I will be primary observer for your mission, said. I must ask, do you truly believe you can survive on that world, or is this human pride speaking? Daniel met the alien scientist's gaze steadily. Humans have a saying, we are born from dust and fire, shaped by storm and ice, and tested by tooth and claw. Keres 9 may be hell to most species, but hell is where humans learn to stand tall. Watch the humans walk away toward their docking bay, already discussing preparation plans. The scientist pulled up the data on Keres 9 one more time, then accessed Earth's full environmental history. After several minutes of reading, he made a note in his personal log. Perhaps, he recorded quietly, we have underestimated what it means to evolve on it. We will know soon enough. In the docking bay, the human ship Defiant waited. It was smaller than most galactic vessels, built with reinforced hull plating designed for Earth's violent atmosphere. The crew of 30 began loading supplies, checking systems, and preparing for a journey that most of the galaxy expected would end in death. Daniel stood at the viewport looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there, Keres 9 waited. A world so dangerous that advanced alien civilizations called it impossible. A planet of crushing gravity, toxic air, and prehistoric monsters. The Defiant shook violently as it entered Keres 9's atmosphere. Warning alarms blared throughout the bridge while the hull temperature climbed rapidly. Daniel gripped his command chair armrests, watching the show nothing but churning purple and green clouds that buffeted the ship like a toy. Hull integrity at 86%, called out the navigator, a young woman named Lisa Morgan. Atmospheric pressure exceeding projections by 12%. Compensate with lower angle of entry, Daniel ordered calmly. Amy, what are you reading on composition? Amy Foster stared at her console, fingers flying across the controls. Confirming sulfur compounds, methane presence higher than scans indicated, also detecting ammonia traces. The mixture is corrosive but within our protective parameters. The ship dropped suddenly, falling nearly a kilometer before the pilot regained control. Several crew members grabbed onto nearby supports. Through it all, Daniel noticed that nobody panicked. Every person on this mission had volunteered, knowing the risks. They had trained for months in simulators based on the worst conditions Earth could offer. There, pointed at the tactical display. That valley system, coordinates marking stable ground. Seismic sensors show lower activity than surrounding regions. Take us down there, Daniel commanded, slow and steady. The Defiant descended through the clouds, and finally the surface became visible. What they saw made even the most experienced crew members pause. The landscape was dark, covered in vegetation that ranged from deep purple to black. Massive rock formations jutted from the ground like broken teeth. In the distance, mountains reached toward the sky, their peaks crackling with electrical discharges from the constant storms. The ship touched down with a heavy thud that sent vibrations through every deck. The landing gear groaned under the increased gravity but held firm. Through the viewports, the crew watched their new world. It was beautiful in a savage, primal way. Gravity confirmed at 2.38 times Earth standard, Amy reported. Slightly lower than projections, but still significant. Everyone in landing party needs to wear support exoskeletons. Daniel stood, feeling the pull of gravity even inside the ship's compensated environment. Full environmental suits, reinforced models. Sergeant Martinez, prepare security detail. Dr. Collins, get your geological equipment ready. Amy, you are with me on biological survey. 30 minutes later, the airlock opened. Daniel was first to step onto Keres 9's surface. The moment his boot touched the dark soil, he felt the weight of the planet pressing down on him. Even with the mechanical exoskeleton assisting his movements, each step required concentrated effort. The suit's internal systems hissed and whirred, helping him move against the crushing gravity. Behind him, Sergeant Martinez emerged, carrying a heavy plasma rifle that would have been impossible to lift without mechanical assistance. She swept the area with practiced efficiency, her military training evident in every movement. Clear for now, reported, but those sensor readings show movement approximately 200 meters north. Dr. Peter Collins practically bounced out of the airlock despite the gravity, his excitement overriding discomfort. The geologist immediately knelt down, pulling out scanning equipment. Incredible! The mineral composition is even richer than the probes indicated. I am reading crystal formations just 30 meters below the surface. Amy moved to a nearby cluster of vegetation. The plants were thick and leathery, with sharp edges that glinted in the dim light filtering through the clouds. She carefully took a sample, placing it in a sealed container. These plants have evolved incredible resilience. The cellular structure is dense enough to withstand the atmospheric pressure and chemical composition. A sound echoed across the valley. It started low, almost below human hearing range, then built into a roar that shook the ground beneath their feet. The landing party froze, weapons raised. From between two rock formations, something emerged. It stood nearly 4 meters tall at the shoulder, with 6 powerful legs ending in claws that dug into the hard ground. Its body was covered in thick armored plates that overlapped like natural tank armor. The head was massive, with a mouth full of teeth designed for tearing and crushing. Small eyes glinted with predatory intelligence as it spotted the humans. Hold position, Daniel ordered quietly. Nobody fire unless it attacks. Amy, what are we looking at? Amy's voice was steady despite her racing heart. Apex predator exactly as the reports described, but look at its behavior. It is not charging immediately. It is assessing us. The creature circled slowly, massive head swinging back and forth. Its nostrils flared, taking in the scent of these strange beings that had invaded its territory. The humans remained still, forming a defensive circle with weapons ready but not threatening. His finger hovered over her trigger. Captain, it is getting closer. Wait, Daniel said. Amy, talk to me. It is confused, Amy observed. We do not smell like prey. Our suits, the metal, the energy signatures from our equipment. We are something new. It cannot categorize us. The creature took another step forward, Then another. It was now within 20 meters. Its hot breath created clouds of vapor in the corrosive air. The massive claws scraped against rock as it moved. Suddenly, the creature lunged, not at the humans but at a boulder beside them. Its claws raked across the stone, leaving deep grooves. It was a display showing its power, warning them. "It is marking territory," Amy said quickly. "Showing dominance without committing to a fight. It is intelligent enough to be cautious of unknown threats." The creature watched them for another long moment, then turned and lumbered away. Its heavy footsteps gradually faded into the distance. The humans remained frozen for several seconds after it disappeared. "Well," Peter said, his voice shaking slightly, "that was terrifying." Lowered her weapon. "Captain, I counted at least 3 more large signatures on sensors during that encounter. We are surrounded by these things." "Then we adapt," Daniel replied. "We are not here to fight the wildlife. We are here to understand it, work around it, and survive it. Let's set up base camp." Over the next several hours, the team erected a temporary shelter using prefabricated panels brought from the Defiant. The structure was designed to withstand extreme conditions, with reinforced walls and a filtration system that processed the toxic atmosphere into breathable air. Inside, they could remove their heavy suits and move around in normal gravity thanks to localized compensation fields. As the sun set, the planet became even more dangerous. The temperature dropped rapidly, and the darkness was absolute except for the electrical storms that lit up the sky. Strange howls and roars echoed from all directions. Through the shelter's reinforced windows, the team could see glowing eyes reflecting their lights. Dozens of creatures were out there, curious or hungry or both. Amy reviewed her biological data while eating a ration pack. "I have identified 17 different species just from today's observations. The ecosystem here is incredibly diverse. Everything is adapted for high gravity and toxic atmosphere. The predators show pack behavior and tool use, using rocks to crack open prey armor." Peter was equally excited about his findings. "The deposits are accessible. We can extract them without deep mining operations. This planet is a treasure vault." Was less optimistic. "We survived one day. We have equipment malfunctions from the atmospheric corrosion already. 3 suits need maintenance. And those creatures out there are learning about us. The next encounter might not end peacefully." Daniel listened to all of them before speaking. "On Earth, humans survived worse than this. Our ancestors hunted mammoths with wooden spears. They crossed oceans in wooden boats. They built cities in the middle of deserts and jungles filled with diseases and predators. This planet is dangerous, yes, but danger is something humans understand." Who had been quiet during the discussion added his perspective. "I served in the Amazon basin during the resource conflicts. 100-degree heat, 100% humidity, insects carrying deadly diseases, drug cartels hunting us, and predators in every shadow. We not only survived, we thrived. Keres 9 is a harsher environment, but the principles are the same. Respect the danger, adapt to it, and never underestimate what humans can endure." The night passed slowly. The team took turns on watch, monitoring the sensors and checking the shelter's integrity. Creatures approached several times, curious about the strange structure and its occupants. Each time the humans observed, took notes, and learned. On Zenith Prime Station, watched the data streams from the human mission. Every member of the Galactic Council had expected the humans to request evacuation within hours. Instead, they had survived the landing, encountered a Class 14 apex predator without casualties, and established a shelter. His respect for these strange creatures was growing. He made another note in his log. "Day 1 survival confirmed. Humans show remarkable calm under pressure. They treat deadly predators as subjects of study rather than immediate threats. Beginning to suspect we have underestimated not just human physical capability, but their psychological resilience." 3 weeks had passed since the Defiant first touched down on Keres 9. What started as a simple shelter had grown into something far more permanent. Haven 1 now covered nearly 2 square kilometers, with pressurized habitats connected by reinforced tunnels, mining operations running around the clock, and a defensive perimeter that kept the megafauna at a safe distance. Daniel stood in the central command hub, reviewing daily reports on a holographic display. The numbers were impressive. 50 personnel now worked on the surface, spread across 3 different sites. They had extracted over 2,000 kilograms of crystals and identified deposits of rare metals that made the initial surveys look conservative. "Morning, Governor," Amy said, entering the hub with a tablet under her arm. Somewhere along the way, the crew had started calling Daniel by that title. He had not officially accepted it, but he had not corrected them either. "Amy, you are up early," Daniel observed. "More findings from the ruins." The discovery of ancient structures had been unexpected but invaluable. 2 weeks ago, Amy's team had found the remains of what appeared to be a previous civilization. The ruins were partially buried under centuries of sediment, but enough remained to tell a story. Amy pulled up images on the main display. "I have been working all night. Daniel, this civilization was advanced. They had technology comparable to current galactic standards. Look at these structural designs, the metallurgy, the power systems. They were not primitive." "So what happened to them?" Daniel asked, though he suspected he already knew the answer. "They lost the evolutionary war," Amy replied grimly. "I found evidence in the deepest excavation. They built walls, weapons, automated defense systems, all designed to keep out the megafauna. For a while it worked, but the creatures adapted. I found remains of predators with genetic markers showing rapid evolution. They developed natural resistance to energy weapons, thicker armor against projectiles, and pack hunting strategies that overwhelmed defensive positions." Daniel studied the images carefully. So this species tried to dominate the planet through force and technology. "Exactly, and the planet won." Amy highlighted several sections of ruined buildings. "But here is what matters for us. They made the mistake of fighting against the ecosystem. We have been working with it instead. Our defensive perimeter uses sound frequencies that the predators dislike but does not harm them. We established our bases in areas that are naturally less contested by wildlife. We study their behavior patterns and avoid their hunting grounds during peak activity periods." "You think that gives us an advantage they did not have?" Amy nodded firmly. "I know it does. Humans evolved alongside dangerous predators. We learned to coexist, avoid, and when necessary, defend. We never tried to eliminate every threat. We adapted. That is the difference." Greg Palmer, the chief mining engineer, entered the hub carrying a sample case. His face was covered in dust and grime, but his grin was unmistakable. "Governor, you need to see this. We just broke through into a new deposit area in the canyon system." He opened the case, revealing crystals that glowed with an internal blue light. "Pure, highest quality I have ever analyzed. There are veins of this running throughout the entire canyon network. We are talking about enough to power 100 worlds for a century." Daniel picked up one of the crystals, feeling its weight even in the high gravity. "How deep are these deposits?" "That is the beautiful part. They are close to the surface. The canyon walls are exposed, so we can extract them with minimal drilling. It is like the planet is handing us treasure." Greg pulled up geological scans. "I estimate we can increase production by 300% within a month." Entered the command hub, his military bearing evident despite the casual colony jumpsuit. "Daniel, we have a situation, not dangerous but complicated." "Go ahead." Lieutenant Sharon Blake just completed another supply run from the Defiant. She made it through the atmospheric turbulence in record time, 42 minutes from orbit to landing pad. Pulled up flight data. She has refined the entry technique, using the storm patterns instead of fighting them. She says other pilots could learn it. Daniel considered the implications. That opens up regular supply routes. We could bring in more personnel, equipment, and eventually establish permanent civilian settlements. "That is the complicated part," said. "Word is spreading through the Galactic Council. We have proven humans can not only survive here, but thrive. I have intercepted communications from 3 different species expressing interest in the planet. Some want to study our methods. Others want access to the resources. And some," Amy added quietly, "want to challenge our claim." Daniel had been expecting this. The galaxy operated on established rules. Discovery and successful colonization granted territorial rights, but those rights could be contested if other species believed they could do better or if political pressure became too strong. "How much time do we have?" Daniel asked. Checked his intelligence reports. "Unknown, but I recommend we accelerate our colonization efforts. The more established we are, the stronger our legal claim becomes." Over the following days, Haven 1 transformed from an outpost into a true colony. Additional habitats were constructed, bringing the comfortable living space to accommodate 200 people. A hydroponic facility began producing fresh vegetables using adapted earth plants that somehow thrived under Keres 9's unique conditions. The discovery that Earth plants could grow here had shocked the community across the galaxy. Amy stood in the hydroponic bay, examining rows of tomatoes, lettuce, and even wheat. The high gravity actually helps, she explained to a group of visiting scientists who had arrived on the latest supply ship. The plants develop stronger cellular structures. The unusual atmospheric composition provides nutrients our plants can process. We have created something that should not be possible according to galactic agricultural science. One of the scientists, unnamed, studied the plants with fascination. On my world, we require extensive artificial support systems to grow food. You are doing this with minimal technology. Because we evolved doing it, Amy replied. Human agriculture developed on a harsh world. We learned to work with difficult conditions, not to engineer them away entirely. Meanwhile, Peter Collins led mining teams deeper into the canyon systems. The work was dangerous, with constant seismic activity and the occasional curious predator investigating the noisy operations. But the rewards were extraordinary. I need to revise my estimates again, Peter told Daniel during a weekly review. The mineral wealth here is beyond anything in the known galaxy. We have found deposits of elements that are considered rare elsewhere. Here, they are common. If humans maintain control of this world, Earth will become the wealthiest planet in the galactic economy. Daniel knew that wealth brought problems as well as opportunities. He had already prepared legal documentation, claiming Keres 9 under established galactic law. The claim was based on successful colonization, demonstrated ability to sustain life, and the investment of resources into development. We need to submit formal sovereignty papers, Daniel told his senior staff during a meeting. I am recommending we rename the planet. Keres 9 is a designation that means nothing to us. We need a name that reflects human achievement. Terra Nova, Amy suggested. New Earth, it is appropriate. The others nodded agreement. Terra Nova it would be. The formal claim was transmitted to the Galactic Council from Haven 1's communication array. Daniel stood in the command hub, watching the transmission beam towards space, knowing it would take 3 days to reach Zenith Prime Station. This is Governor Daniel Wright of the human colony Haven 1, located on the planet formerly designated Keres 9, he recorded. On behalf of Earth and humanity, I submit formal claim for planetary sovereignty. We have established permanent habitation, demonstrated sustainable resource extraction, and proven our ability to thrive in this environment. We request the Galactic Council recognize this world as Terra Nova, sovereign territory of humanity. On Zenith Prime, received the transmission along with supporting data. Videos showed humans working in conditions that would kill most species. Reports documented successful agriculture, mining operations, and a growing population. The scientist compiled everything into a comprehensive report. The humans have achieved what we deemed impossible, wrote in his summary to the council. They have not merely survived on a Class 14 world, they have colonized it. Their claim is legally sound and supported by documented evidence. However, I anticipate significant opposition from species who desire access to Terra Nova's resources. Ambassador read's report with growing concern. She knew the political landscape of the council. The conglomerate had been quietly building support for a counterclaim. They argued that human success was luck, that they could establish a more efficient operation, and that such valuable resources should not be controlled by a single, relatively new species. She sent a private message to Daniel. Congratulations on your successful colonization. Be aware that your claim will face challenges. Prepare for opposition. Daniel received the message during dinner with his senior staff. He read it aloud, then looked around the table at the faces of the people who had turned an impossible dream into reality. We knew this would happen, said. The question is how we respond. We continue doing exactly what we have been doing, Daniel replied. We build, we grow, we prove every single day that Terra Nova is our world, not because we took it by force, but because we earned it through sweat, determination, and understanding. Let them come. Let them see what humans can do. Fleet filled the Haven 1's command hub. 15 massive warships hung in orbit above Terra Nova, their weapons systems powered but not yet locked on targets. Each ship was 3 times the size of the Defiant, bristling with enough firepower to level a city. Their dark hulls absorbed light, making them look like holes torn in space itself. Daniel stood at the command console, arms crossed, studying the alien vessels with the calm expression that his crew had come to associate with their governor. Behind him, and Lisa Morgan, who now commanded Haven One's defense forces, analyzed tactical data. "They are not here to negotiate," Lisa said flatly. "That formation is designed for rapid deployment of ground forces. I count at least 20 drop ships." A communication request came through. Daniel accepted it, and the holographic display showed a commander. The alien stood nearly 3 meters tall, with thick armored scales covering his body. His eyes were cold and calculating, reflecting the predatory nature of his species. This was Commander Vex, known throughout the galaxy as a ruthless warrior merchant who had conquered resource-rich worlds for the conglomerate. "Human Governor," Vex said, his voice a deep rumble. "I am Commander Vex of the Resource Reclamation Fleet. Your presence on this world is noted. However, the conglomerate contests your claim. This planet's resources are too valuable to be controlled by a species with limited galactic experience." Daniel met the alien's gaze without flinching. "Commander Vex, humanity has legally claimed this world through successful colonization. We have established permanent settlements, sustainable operations, and proven our ability to survive and thrive here. Your contest is noted, but our claim stands." Vex's expression, which was difficult to read on his alien features, somehow managed to convey amusement and contempt. "You have built temporary structures and extracted minimal resources. The conglomerate will demonstrate superior capability. We are deploying forces to establish our own operations. You have 48 hours to evacuate." "This world is not open for additional colonization," Daniel replied carefully. "It is sovereign human territory." "We will see," Vex said and cut the transmission. Within an hour, the first dropships entered the atmosphere. They were massive armored transports designed to punch through any resistance. The military had conquered dozens of worlds using these very vessels. They descended toward the southern continent, away from human settlements, but in a region rich with mineral deposits. Amy watched from the observation deck as the alien ships fought through the same atmospheric turbulence that had challenged the Defiant. But where the human ship had adapted and learned, the simply powered through with brute force. 2 drop ships suffered damage from electrical storms, but they made it to the surface. "They are landing in the Crimson Valley," Amy reported. "That area has extremely high seismic activity and is prime territory for the largest predator packs we have observed." Pulled up tactical overlays. "They chose that location because it has the richest deposits in the southern hemisphere. They are prioritizing resource extraction over safety." "Then they are about to learn what we already know," added grimly. "This planet does not care about military strength or advanced technology." They established their base camp with remarkable efficiency. Over 300 soldiers deployed, along with automated defense systems, mining equipment, and weapons platforms. Within 6 hours, they had erected a fortified perimeter using energy shields and plasma cannons. Their commander on the ground, a sub-officer named, reported success to Commander Vex. "Base established," transmitted. "Beginning resource extraction operations. This planet is hostile but manageable with proper equipment." Vex was pleased. "Excellent. Show these humans how a real military force operates. I want mining operations at full capacity within 24 hours." But the planet had other plans. The first attack came at night. A pack of the massive 6-legged predators approached the perimeter. The automated defense systems detected them and opened fire with plasma cannons. The weapons struck true, hitting the creatures with enough energy to vaporize most organic matter. But the predators did not vaporize. Their armored hides, evolved over millions of years to withstand this planet's harsh conditions, absorbed much of the energy. Several creatures fell, wounded but not dead. The rest of the pack scattered, learning from the experience. "Target neutralization incomplete," the defense computer reported. "Energy weapons showing reduced effectiveness." Was unconcerned. "Increase power output, these are primitive beasts." The soldiers, confident in their superiority, began mining operations. The heavy equipment tore into the ground, extracting crystals with industrial efficiency. But the noise, the vibrations, and the disruption to the ecosystem triggered a response. Hundreds of smaller predators, each the size of Earth's largest bears, emerged from underground burrows. They had evolved to live beneath the surface, avoiding the worst of the atmospheric conditions and the larger predators. The mining vibrations disturbed their nesting grounds. The creatures swarmed the mining site. Soldiers opened fire with plasma rifles, killing dozens. But for every creature that fell, 3 more appeared. The battle lasted 2 hours before they finally drove them off. 40 soldiers were injured, 10 of them critically. The mining equipment was damaged. Sent an updated report to Vex. Encountered unexpected resistance from native fauna. Casualties sustained but situation contained. Requesting additional forces. Back at Haven 1, Daniel received intelligence reports from observation satellites. Amy analyzed the data with growing concern. They are repeating the mistakes of the ancient civilization, she said. Fighting the planet instead of understanding it. They picked the worst possible location and are antagonizing the ecosystem. Should we warn them? One of the junior officers asked. Daniel considered the question carefully. Send them our ecological surveys and behavioral data on the predators. Offer to share information about safe zones and resource extraction techniques that minimize environmental disruption. The message was transmitted, received it, and immediately deleted it without reading. Human propaganda, he told his subordinates. They want us to fail so they can maintain their false claim. Ignore it. Over the next 3 days, the position deteriorated. The creatures adapted quickly to energy weapons, approaching from angles that minimized exposure and learning to time their attacks during electrical storms when sensors were disrupted. The crushing gravity exhausted soldiers who spent too much time outside the compensated zones. Atmospheric corrosion damaged equipment faster than engineers could repair it. A major seismic event, a magnitude 7.8 tremor, collapsed part of the perimeter wall. In the chaos, a pack of apex predators breached the defenses. The battle was brutal. Soldiers fought bravely, their superior weapons and training eventually driving the creatures back. But the cost was heavy. 23 dead, 50 wounded, and significant structural damage. Commander Vex, watching from orbit, was furious. How are the humans surviving if you cannot? They have fewer resources, less advanced technology, and smaller numbers. The humans are not mining in contested zones, admitted. Their settlements are in areas with lower seismic activity and less predator density. They appear to have mapped the entire ecosystem and chosen locations strategically. Then we will force them out, Vex decided. If they will not leave voluntarily, we will make them leave. The fleet moved into a more aggressive posture, weapons locked onto human settlements. Vex sent a final ultimatum to Daniel. Human governor, your time has expired. Evacuate immediately or we will remove you by force. You have 12 hours. Daniel gathered his senior staff. The situation had reached a critical point. Around the table sat the people who had built Terra Nova from nothing. Amy, who understood the planet better than anyone, whose military experience was now essential. Lisa, who commanded their limited defensive capabilities, whose tactical mind had kept them safe, and Peter, whose mining operations had proven human capability. We cannot win a military confrontation, Lisa said bluntly. They have 15 warships. We have the Defiant and some mining equipment repurposed as weapons. If they attack from orbit, we are defenseless. So we do not fight them in space, replied. We fight them here on the ground where this planet is our ally. You want to engage them in ground combat? Daniel asked. I want to make it impossible for them to take this world without destroying it, clarified. If they bombard us from orbit, they will destroy the resources they came for. If they land forces, they have to face the same challenges we have mastered. We know this terrain. We know the predators, the safe zones, the storm patterns. They are still learning. Amy leaned forward. There is something else. I found something in the ruins yesterday. I did not mention it because I wanted to verify it first, but given our situation, you should know. She pulled up holographic schematics of ancient technology. The previous civilization built a planetary defense system. It is buried deep underground, connected to the planet's natural energy field. The system uses the electrical storms, the seismic activity, even the planet's magnetic field. It is designed to create a shield that can block orbital bombardment. Can we activate it? Daniel asked immediately. That is the problem. It requires someone adapted to the planet's conditions to interface with it. The control systems are biological, designed to bond with the native species that built it. But they went extinct. I think maybe humans who have spent weeks adapting to Terra Nova's environment might be compatible, but it has never been tested. The room fell silent. Finally, Daniel spoke. "Where is this system?" 2 kilometers from here, beneath the ruins." "How long to reach it?" "In this gravity, through predator territory, maybe 6 hours." Daniel looked at, "Can you buy us time?" Smiled grimly. "I can make them regret coming here." Stood, "I will lead the ground teams. We will show them what humans learned surviving on Earth." "Then we have a plan," Daniel said. "Prepare defensive positions. Use everything we have learned about this planet. Gather your best people. Amy, lead me to that control system. Peter, I need you to trigger controlled seismic events near the position. Make them think this planet is more active than it really is." "And if this defense system does not work?" Lisa asked. Daniel met her eyes steadily. "Then we fight until we cannot fight anymore. Terra Nova is our world. We claimed it with our blood, sweat, and determination. No one takes it from us." As the team dispersed to their tasks, watched from Zenith Prime, the Galactic Council had convened an emergency session, but political debate moved slowly. The scientists knew that by the time the Council decided on action, the situation on Terra Nova would have already resolved one way or another. He sent a message to Ambassador. "The humans are not retreating. They intend to defend their claim." Responded immediately. "Against 15 warships? That is suicide." The ruins stretched before Daniel and Amy like broken teeth jutting from Terra Nova's dark soil. Ancient structures, half buried by centuries of sediment, stood as silent monuments to a civilization that had lost its war with this planet. But somewhere beneath these crumbling walls lay technology that might save the new civilization trying to take root here. Amy led the way through the excavation site, moving carefully despite the mechanical exoskeleton assisting her movements. The crushing gravity made every step deliberate. Behind them, a security team of 6 kept watch for predators, their weapons ready, but their eyes constantly scanning the purple vegetation for movement. There, Amy pointed to a section of exposed wall that showed different construction than the surrounding ruins. "We found this 3 days ago. It took us 48 hours just to clear the entrance." They descended into darkness. Portable lights illuminated stairs carved from some kind of crystalline stone that still held strength after countless years. The air grew colder as they went deeper, though the atmospheric processors in their suits kept them comfortable. Strange markings covered the walls, a written language that Amy had been slowly deciphering. "This says something like Harmony Keeper or World Protector," Amy translated, running her gloved hand over the symbols. The civilization here did not just build weapons. They tried to work with the planet's natural systems, but by the time they figured that out, it was too late. The predators had evolved too far, become too aggressive. "How far down does this go?" Daniel asked, checking his suit's oxygen reserves. "Another 100 meters. The control chamber is at the deepest point, connected directly to the planet's geothermal energy grid." Above ground was turning Haven 1 into a fortress. Every person in the colony, civilian and military alike, worked on defensive preparations. Mining equipment had been repurposed into makeshift weapons. The terrain itself became part of the defense, with strategic collapse points that could block approach routes and sensor arrays positioned to track both forces and native predators. Stood on the colony's outer perimeter, supervising the placement of the last defensive position. Her military experience had taught her that battles were won through preparation and understanding the battlefield. She knew every rock formation, every predator path, every storm pattern in this region. They had superior firepower, but the humans had something more valuable: knowledge. "Sergeant, incoming transmission from the position," one of her soldiers reported. Accepted it, the face of appeared, the ground commander looking exhausted and frustrated. Behind him, she could see damaged equipment and injured soldiers receiving medical treatment. "Human commander, I am not transmitting this through official channels," said quietly. "My commander does not know I am contacting you." "I am listening," replied carefully. "Your people sent us information about the predators, about safe zones. We ignored it. That was a mistake. We have lost 63 soldiers in 4 days. The planet is killing us faster than you ever could." Paused, seeming to struggle with what he wanted to say next. "You saved 3 of my soldiers yesterday. When they were injured outside our perimeter during a seismic event, you sent a medical team. They told me about it." "Why?" Considered her answer. "Because they needed help. Because on a planet like this, we are all just trying to survive. Because humans do not believe in leaving people to die when we can save them." Commander Vex has ordered orbital bombardment if you do not surrender, said. He will destroy the mining sites, the settlements, everything. He does not care about resources anymore. He only cares about winning. Then we will have to make sure he does not win, replied. Deep underground, Daniel and Amy finally reached the control chamber. It was vast, easily 50 meters across, with a domed ceiling covered in more of the strange, glowing symbols. In the center stood what could only be described as a throne, but it was connected to hundreds of cables that ran into the floor, walls, and ceiling like veins in a living body. This is it, Amy said, her voice filled with awe. The planetary defense interface. According to my translations, someone sits in that chair and the system reads their biological patterns. If they are compatible with the planet, it activates. If they are compatible, Daniel repeated. What happens if they are not? Amy did not answer immediately. When she did, her voice was somber. The records suggest it can be fatal. The system floods the user's nervous system with energy to establish the connection. If the person cannot handle it, the feedback can kill them. Daniel walked toward the throne, studying it carefully. The seat appeared to be made of the same crystalline material as the stairs, but it pulsed with a faint blue light. You said humans who have adapted to this planet might be compatible. Might be, Amy emphasized. We have been breathing this air through filters, walking in this gravity, exposed to this planet's energy field for weeks. Our bodies have been changing, adapting, but I cannot promise it will be enough. There is only one way to find out. Daniel began to sit in the throne. Wait, Amy grabbed his arm. Daniel, if this kills you, the colony loses its leader. Let someone else try first. No, Daniel said firmly. I made the decision to claim this world. I led these people here. If there is risk, I take it first. That is what leaders do. He sat down. The moment his body made contact with the crystalline surface, the cables came alive. They moved like serpents, wrapping around his arms, legs, and torso. Daniel felt a surge of energy enter his body, and he had to fight the urge to scream. It felt like lightning was flowing through his veins, burning and freezing at the same time. Images flooded his mind. He saw Terra Nova as it had been millions of years ago, a gentler world before tectonic forces and evolutionary pressures turned it into a... He saw the rise of the ancient civilization, their attempts to dominate the planet, their eventual fall. He felt the planet itself, not as a conscious entity, but as a living system of interconnected forces. And then he understood. The defense system was not a weapon. It was a request. The planet was asking if he was worthy to be protected, if he understood the balance between survival and coexistence, if he could be part of this world rather than just taking from it. Yes, Daniel whispered through gritted teeth. We understand, we learned, we respect you. The throne room erupted with light. The symbols on the walls blazed with brilliance. Amy watched in amazement as holographic displays appeared throughout the chamber, showing Terra Nova's entire surface, its energy grid, its storm patterns, and most importantly, a shield network that wrapped around the entire planet. Above ground, every human colony detected massive energy surges. In orbit, sensors went wild as something activated deep within the planet's core. Commander Vex stared at his displays in disbelief. What is that? His tactical officer worked frantically at the controls. Energy readings are off the scale. Something is generating a planetary shield. Commander, it is coming from beneath the human primary settlement. Impossible, Vex snarled. This is an undeveloped world. There should not be any advanced defensive systems. Yet there are, the officer replied, and they are powering up rapidly. Vex made a decision born of rage and desperation. All ships prepare to fire, target the human colonies. If we cannot have this planet, no one will. In the control chamber, Daniel felt the shield forming. He could sense every part of it, control it like an extension of his own body. The throne had bonded with him completely. Through the connection, he felt the approaching threat from orbit. Amy, get everyone to shelter, he said, his voice strange, echoing with harmonics that were not entirely human. They are about to fire. The fleet unleashed its full arsenal. Dozens of plasma torpedoes and energy beams lanced down from orbit, enough firepower to level a continent. They struck the planetary shield and exploded harmlessly against a barrier of pure energy that wrapped around Terra Nova like a protective embrace. Vex watched in fury as every shot failed. Intensify fire, use the main cannons. but even the massive main weapons of the warships could not penetrate the shield. The defense system had been designed by a civilization that understood this planet's power. It drew energy from the storms, from the seismic activity, from the planet's own magnetic field. As long as Terra Nova lived, the shield would protect it. On the surface at Haven 1, humans watched the sky light up with explosions that never reached them. Cheers erupted through the colony, allowed himself a small smile of satisfaction, hugged the soldier standing next to her. At the ground base, received orders from Commander Vex. All ground forces prepare to assault human positions. If we cannot destroy them from orbit, we will take the colony by force. But as the soldiers prepared to move out, something unexpected happened. A group of 30 troops, led by a junior officer, refused to deploy. "Sir, we will not attack the humans," the junior officer said to. "They saved our people. They offered to share information that would have prevented our losses, and now their leader has activated a defense system to protect this planet. They have proven they belong here. We have not." Looked at the rebellious troops. More soldiers were lowering their weapons, refusing orders. The humans' mercy toward wounded soldiers had made an impact that military discipline could not override. "Commander Vex will have you executed for mutiny," warned. "Perhaps," the junior officer replied, "but we will not be part of a war crime. Attacking a legally established colony protected by planetary defenses is illegal under galactic law. The humans have met every requirement for sovereignty. If the commander proceeds, he is a war criminal, and so would we be if we followed those orders." Made a decision that would end his military career but save his honor. He opened a channel to Commander Vex. "Sir, I am placing you under arrest for violation of galactic colonization law and attempted genocide. You are ordered to power down weapons and submit to council authority." "You dare," Vex roared. "I will see you executed for treason." "Perhaps," replied, echoing his subordinate. "But the humans have taught us something, Commander. Some things are more important than following orders. Honor, justice, mercy. These humans from there understand that better than we do." On Zenith Prime, the Galactic Council had been watching everything unfold through live feeds from observation satellites. The chamber was silent as Ambassador rose to speak. "Members of the Council, we have witnessed something unprecedented. A species has successfully colonized a Class 14 world. They have activated ancient defensive systems that even the planet's original inhabitants could barely control, and they have shown mercy to their enemies while defending their legitimate claim. I move that we formally recognize Terra Nova as sovereign human territory and charge Commander Vex with war crimes." The vote was unanimous. Even species that had initially opposed the human claim could not deny what they had witnessed. Added his own statement. "I began observing the humans with skepticism. I expected them to fail within days. Instead, they have taught the entire galaxy a lesson. Technology and military power do not make you worthy of a world. Understanding, adaptation, and cooperation do. Perhaps we have much to learn from these humans and their origins." 6 months later, Terra Nova had transformed beyond recognition. The population had grown to 5,000 humans, with more arriving every week. Multiple cities spread across the continents, each built in harmony with the local ecosystem. Mining operations supplied the entire human sphere with resources. The planet was not conquered or dominated. It was respected, understood, and protected. Daniel stood on a cliff overlooking Haven 1, which had grown into a proper city. He no longer needed the mechanical exoskeleton. His body had fully adapted to the gravity. He could breathe the atmosphere with minimal filtering. He had become part of Terra Nova in a way that went beyond physical presence. Amy joined him, carrying "The latest census reports just came in. We are officially the fastest-growing human colony in history, and the Council has sent requests from 17 different species wanting to learn our colonization techniques." "And Daniel asked." "Requested asylum. He and 40 of his former soldiers want to stay here, learn to live on Terra Nova the human way. They have been helpful, actually. They bring different skills and perspectives." Daniel nodded. "Tell them they are welcome. This world is big enough for everyone who respects it." A shadow passed overhead. One of the massive apex predators, the 6-legged giants that had seemed so terrifying those first days, moved along a ridge in the distance. The humans had learned its species' migration patterns and avoided disturbing them. In turn, the creatures had learned that humans were not prey or threat, just another species trying to survive. Peter Collins approached, as excited as always. "Governor, I have news. We have found deposits on the northern continent that make everything we have extracted so far look insignificant. The geological surveys suggest Terra Nova might have more exploitable resources than the rest of known space combined." "Then we will extract them carefully," Daniel said. "Sustainably, the way we have been doing it." And Lisa arrived together, reviewing defense reports. "3 more human ships arrived today," reported. 2 are colony transports. The 3rd is a science vessel wanting to study how we achieved what the Council considered impossible." "What do we tell them?" Lisa asked. Daniel smiled, looking out over Terra Nova's savage beauty, the purple and black vegetation swaying in the corrosive wind, the electrical storms dancing across the horizon, the massive predators that had learned to coexist with humans, this that had become home. "We tell them the truth," he said. "Humans did not conquer this world, we earned it, through respect, through understanding, through refusing to give up when others said it was impossible. We earned it by being what we have always been, survivors from a who learned to turn hell into home." A transmission came through from Earth. 12 more colony ships were requesting permission to settle on Terra Nova. Daniel approved them all. This planet had room, and humanity had proven it belonged here. Sent a final report to the Galactic Council, his last as primary observer of Terra Nova. In conclusion, the human colonization of this Class 14 world represents a paradigm shift in our understanding of what species can achieve. We have spent seeking planets that are safe and comfortable. Humans did the opposite. They sought the most dangerous world they could find and made it their realm through sheer determination and adaptability. I recommend we study their methods carefully. Because if humans can turn a Class 14 into a thriving colony, what other impossibilities might they achieve? And perhaps more importantly, what does this tell us about the galaxy's most dangerous species not being the predators we fear, but the resilient, adaptable humans from Earth who refuse to accept that anything is truly impossible? On Terra Nova, as the alien sun set in shades of purple and gold, Daniel Wright stood with his people and looked at the world they had claimed. Not through conquest, not through force, but through the simple human truth that had carried their species from caves to the stars. When the universe said something could not be done, humans had always asked the same question. "Watch us." "Perhaps," replied. "Or perhaps we are about to learn what happens when you corner humans on a they have claimed as home." The countdown to conflict began. 12 hours until the attack. 12 hours to prepare for a battle that would decide the fate of Terra Nova and humanity's place in the galaxy. Raised her glass, "To Terra Nova." "To Terra Nova," the others echoed. In orbit around the planet, sensors detected ships entering the system. Unknown vessels, large and heavily armed, broadcasting identification codes that marked them as military vessels. They were coming to challenge humanity's claim. The real test was about to begin. As the first light of Keres 9's sun broke through the toxic clouds, Daniel stood at the shelter entrance, looking out at the alien landscape. In the distance, he could see the massive predator from yesterday watching them from a ridge. Other creatures moved through the purple vegetation. The ground trembled with a minor quake. He smiled. They had survived the first night on a Class 14. Now the real work began. He smiled. It sounded just like home.